And they sent me the pilot, and my mom and I did not want to like it. And we turned it on, and we were stifling laughing. So I thought, I'll go in. But I had never done comedy before.
The truth about Ed O'Neill and Christina Applegate has been hidden in plain sight for decades. On screen, they played one of television's most iconic father-daughter duos in Married with Children. But off-camera, the story was far more complicated than anyone realized. For nearly 40 years, Christina stayed silent. Until now. Because what she's finally revealed doesn't just change how you see the show, it raises a bigger question. How much of what we watched was ever real? Join us as we unveil what Christina Applegate revealed about Ed O'Neill, the hidden bond. Christina Applegate has a very typical relationship with her TV dad, Ed O'Neill. In fact, their relationship is so unique that she blames him for both the best and worst parts of herself. When she first walked onto the set of Married with Children, the show that made her, in 1987, she was only a 15-year-old teenager. She was a youngster with absolutely no experience stepping into one of the most controversial sitcoms in television history. The show was, to say the least, edgy, provocative, and it very well pushed every boundary that was allowed at the time. If anything, the show can only be described as highly controversial. And right in the middle of all that chaos was a young girl who needed someone to look out for her. That someone turned out to be Ed O'Neill. Everyone knew Ed was Christina's father on screen, but what most people never realized is that Ed took on a role way more important than playing Al Bundy. He was Christina's protector, her mentor, and in many ways, he was the father figure she needed during one of the most vulnerable times in her life. And for more than 3 decades, neither of them ever fully revealed just how deep their bond actually went. At the time of the show, Ed O'Neill was in his early 40s. He was highly experienced, having been through the ups and downs of Hollywood. He clearly understood what this industry could do to young people, especially young women who were suddenly thrust into the spotlight. As for why Christina needed the protection, well, she was playing Kelly Bundy, a character who was written to be a teenage sex symbol. The jokes about Kelly often carried dirty hints, not to mention how revealing her outfits were. She quickly gained attention, but that attention from fans and media could have easily gone to dark places. But Ed stood with her and made sure that didn't happen. Christina has talked about how Ed often shielded her from certain conversations on set. He would step in when things got too adult. He would make sure that even though the show was pushing boundaries, the actual environment around Christina remained safe and professional. The weight of this is better understood when you realize this was not something he was required to do. It was not part of his job description. Yet, she chose to be a genuinely good human being. Christina went from being 15 to 26 during the show's run, spending 11 years on that set. Naturally, those are the years when a person forms their entire identity. And Christina has admitted that Ed's presence during those years fundamentally changed who she is today. Interestingly, the crew members who worked on the set watched the relationship secret, and they have shared stories over the years about it. However, there were moments that the cameras never captured. There were times when Ed would drive Christina home after late-night shoots because he did not want her traveling alone. Sometimes he would call her mother to reassure her that her daughter was being looked after. He even went as far as standing up to producers who wanted to push Christina into situations that made her uncomfortable. In the early years, it was clearly a mentor and student relationship. Ed had the experience, and Christina had the talent. But as the years went on, things changed. Christina became even more confident, and she found her voice, all thanks to Ed. By the final seasons of the show, Christina was no longer just following Ed's lead. She was holding her own and bringing ideas to the table. She was contributing to the creative process in ways that surprised even the most experienced members of the production team. And Ed? He could not have been prouder. But even though Christina had the father figure she needed, it didn't mean everyone was on her side, and the action of one random person almost cost her her career. Everything almost fell apart. Something happened in 1999 that threatened to destroy Married with Children completely. A random Michigan woman named Terry Rakolta just happened to watch an episode of the show, and for some reason was so outraged that she launched a full-scale boycott campaign against the entire show. She contacted major advertisers, she wrote letters, and even appeared on news programs. Such was her determination to get Married with Children canceled. And her campaign worked. Well, at least at first. Immediately, major backers of the show started pulling out. Coca-Cola stopped their advertising, and McDonald's withdrew their support. Dozens of other major companies followed suit. The situation felt hopeless for all involved. But what about Christina? For her, this was beyond terrifying. She was only 17 years old, and this show was her entire career. It was everything she had worked for. And suddenly, it looked like it could all disappear in the blink of an eye because one woman in Michigan decided she did not like what she saw on television. Anyone can attest that such uncertainty was overwhelming for someone so young. But Ed O'Neill was there after all, and he refused to let fear take over. Ed is relatively a low-key person, so what most people do not know is that during this crisis, he personally took it upon himself to calm the younger cast members. He sat down with Christina and David Faustino and told them that no matter what happened, they had created something special. He told them that the show might survive or it might not, but either way, they should be proud of what they had accomplished together. Ed didn't stop there. He also did something else that has rarely been discussed. He took it upon himself to contact the press himself. He gave interviews where he defended the show, but more importantly, he defended the young people who worked on it. He made sure that in every conversation about the controversy, someone was speaking up for his TV kids. He refused to let them become collateral damage in a culture war. Fortunately, the boycott ultimately backfired. And interestingly, the show became more popular as all the negative attention made people curious about this show they had never watched. The ratings actually went up. The publicity that was supposed to destroy Married with Children turned out to be the catalyst for its growth, making it even more popular than ever before. It easily was one of the most ironic turns in television history. But Christina has revealed that what she remembers most from that terrifying time was neither the ratings nor the victory over the boycott. What she remembers most is the fact that there was someone called Ed O'Neill who stood by her side when everything seemed like it was falling apart. She remembered him being steady when everyone else was panicking. She remembers him showing her what it means to handle a crisis with grace and composure. Christina survived the crises, but she was met with an even bigger challenge that completely changed everything. The heartbreaking diagnosis. On August 10, 2021, Christina Applegate posted something on social media that made the world freeze. She announced that she had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. The disease had been discovered a few months earlier while she was filming the final season of her Netflix show, Dead to Me. And just like that, everything changed. Nothing would ever be the same. Multiple sclerosis is a chronic disease that affects the central nervous system. It can cause problems with mobility, balance, vision, and cognitive function. There is no cure. The symptoms can be managed, but the disease never goes away. For Christina, this diagnosis meant that her entire life had to be restructured from the ground up. She now uses a cane to walk. She has talked openly about experiencing cognitive fog that makes certain tasks difficult. She has had to accept that her body has changed in ways she never anticipated. The woman who once played the most desirable teenager on television now struggles with basic movements that most people take for granted. Every day brings new challenges. The diagnosis was not just physical, it was emotional. Christina has been honest about the grief she has experienced. Grief for the life she thought she would have. Grief for the future she had planned. Grief for the version of herself that existed before the diagnosis. She has had to mourn while still living, which is one of the hardest things any person can do. What Christina revealed about Ed O'Neill's response to her diagnosis shows the true depth of their relationship. When Ed found out about her illness, he immediately reached out. He did not just send a text message or a brief phone call, he made sure Christina knew that he was there for her. He expressed his love and support in ways that went far beyond what former co-workers typically do for each other. The entire Married with Children cast rallied around Christina. Katie Sagal, who played her mother Peggy Bundy, has been particularly vocal about supporting Christina through this difficult time. David Faustino has posted messages of love and encouragement. Amanda Bearse, who played neighbor Marcy, has also shown her support. But it was Ed's response that meant the most to Christina. He was still her protector after all these years. In discussing her illness, Christina has been remarkably open about the emotional impact it has had on her. She has talked about grief. She has talked about anger. She has talked about the loss of the life she thought she would have. And in all of those conversations, she has mentioned how important it has been to have people from her past who truly know her and truly love her. Before the diagnosis, Christina had earlier been diagnosed with something else. People reported in 2008 that Christina had been diagnosed with breast cancer. It was announced that she was cancer-free after a double mastectomy. Although cancer had been found in only one breast, she has an inherited genetic trait which can trigger breast and ovarian cancer. Her mother is also a breast cancer survivor. Christina said when she first was diagnosed, she was just shaking, and then also immediately, she had to go into take care of business mode. But despite the devastating diagnosis, Christina still got the highest possible honors in Hollywood: the emotional standing ovation. Christina stayed hidden until November 2022, when made her first major public appearance since revealing her MS diagnosis. She was being honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. For someone dealing with a chronic illness that affects mobility and energy, just showing up to an event like this required tremendous courage. A lot of people in her shoes would have just stayed home. But Christina refused to hide. She arrived using a cane. Her movements were slower than they used to be. But she was there. She was present. And she was surrounded by people who loved her. The crowd that gathered was enormous. Fans had traveled from all over to witness this moment. Katie Sagal was there to support her TV daughter. Other friends and colleagues showed up to celebrate Christina's career and her bravery in facing her illness publicly. The ceremony was emotional from the very beginning, but what Christina said during her speech left everyone in tears. She talked about her diagnosis openly. She talked about the fear and uncertainty she had faced. She talked about what it meant to have people in her life who had shown up for her when things got hard. 2 months later came another moment that would be seared into the memories of everyone who witnessed it. Christina Applegate appeared at the Emmy Awards in January 2023. She walked onto that stage with her cane, and the audience did something spontaneous and overwhelming. They stood up. Every single person in that room rose to their feet, and they kept applauding. The standing ovation lasted nearly a full minute, which in television time feels like an eternity. Christina stood there, visibly emotional, as wave after wave of support washed over her. The applause seemed like it would never end. People she had worked with decades ago came up to her throughout the evening. Old friends reached out. Former castmates checked in. The outpouring of love was overwhelming. Ed O'Neill was among those who made sure Christina knew she was loved. Their exchanges that night, though private, reflected the same dynamic that had existed since she was 15 years old. He was still looking out for her. He was still making sure she was okay. The TV father was still being a real one. These public appearances proved something important. They proved that Christina Applegate, despite everything she was going through, was not going to disappear. She was going to face her challenges publicly. She was going to use her platform to raise awareness about multiple sclerosis. And she was going to do it all while maintaining the wit and warmth that had made audiences fall in love with her in the first place. One question that every fan of the show has been asking is whether there will ever be a proper reunion of the casts. After everything that has happened, including Christina's diagnosis and all the years that have passed, is it still possible to bring the Bundy family back together one more time? Fans have been waiting for decades. Is it finally going to happen? The future of the Bundy family. Well, the answer is rather complicated, but there is reason for hope. Christina is currently running a podcast called Messy with Jamie Lynn Sigler, another actress who also lives with multiple sclerosis. The podcast has given Christina a platform to share her thoughts and experiences in a format that accommodates her health needs. She does not have to stand for long hours. She does not have to memorize scripts. She can participate on her own terms and still connect with her audience. This has undoubtedly opened up new possibilities for how a reunion might work. It does not have to require Christina to be on a soundstage for extremely long days. There are alternative formats that could bring the cast together in ways that work for everyone, including Christina. The cast has participated in various reunion events over the years, both in person and virtually. They have done panels together. They have appeared at celebrations marking milestones for the show. Every time they get together, fans are reminded of how special their chemistry still is. The love between them has not faded with time. If anything, it has grown stronger. Ed O'Neill, on his own part, has made it clear that he would be willing to do a reunion, but only if it includes Christina. He has no interest in revisiting the Bundy family without his TV daughter. The same sentiment has been echoed by the other cast members. Whatever form a reunion takes, it must include all of them or none of them. They are a package deal. There have been discussions with networks and streaming services about various formats: a documentary, a special episode, a virtual reunion. Nothing has been officially announced, but conversations are happening. The appetite from fans is clearly there. The willingness from the cast is there. It is just a matter of finding the right format that works for everyone. What Christina has revealed about her relationship with Ed O'Neill is ultimately a story about what matters most in life. It is not about fame or ratings or awards. It is about the connections we make with other people. It is about showing up for each other when things get hard. It is about maintaining love across decades and through difficult circumstances. When Christina walked onto that set as a 15-year-old girl, she could never have imagined where life would take her. She could not have known that the man playing her TV father would become one of the most important figures in her life. She could not have predicted that nearly 4 decades later, their bond would still be going strong. The story of Christina Applegate and Ed O'Neill is not a story of scandal or controversy. It is something far more valuable. It is a story of genuine human connection in an industry that often destroys relationships. It is a story of a mentor who became a father figure and a young actress who became like his own daughter. It is a story that reminds us that the best things we create in life are not the projects we work on, but the relationships we build along the way. And as Christina continues to face her health challenges with courage and humor, she knows that Ed O'Neill is still watching out for her, just like he has been since she was 15 years old, just like he always will be. Some bonds are simply unbreakable. For fans of Married with Children, the relationship between Christina and Ed represents everything the show was really about. Beneath all the crude jokes and outrageous situations, there was a family that stuck together no matter what. The Bundys might have insulted each other constantly, but when it mattered, they were there for each other. That was not just acting. That was real. The legacy of Married with Children lives on in reruns and streaming services around the world. New generations are discovering the show and falling in love with the Bundy family. Christina said in 2023 that because of her illness, she probably would no longer act on camera, but that she would be open to voiceover work, such as a planned animated revival of Married with Children, in addition to working behind the scenes. During an appearance on Good Morning America in March 2024, she acknowledged now having a tremor from her MS condition. In March 2026, on an episode of Wild Card with Rachel Martin, Christina informed NPR journalist Rachel Martin that her death was looming and that she had bought a burial plot. But somewhere, Ed O'Neill and Christina Applegate are still connected, still caring about each other, still proving that some relationships transcend time, distance, and even illness. The former co-stars also shared how much they enjoy the way their relationship has matured over the years. Is another reunion still possible? And what do you think of Christina's health crisis? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.